Okay, so tonight's three subjects are extensor action, and I've added one in here that I wasn't going to because we're going to talk a little bit more about the parachute a little bit later on. So I've put in marginal gains in the strategy column, and then I've chosen nature as our third. And certainly I think that when we talk about extensor action, there is some information out there. So most of the information that you'll find on the internet would be about the extensor strap and a little bit on extensor action. There's a guy in Oz that does some stuff, but it's very, very basic. And Lynn Blake blathers on a little bit. Now, you know, Lynn Blake is a really well-known protagonist of the golfing machine, but you know, next to Joe, you know, the communication and accuracy of communication is pretty poor. So first of all, extensor action is it's a biomechanical term. It's a term of the body, and it means to move away or extend. So what Homer, and it definitely, it's all from Homer Kelly. So the atomical requirements of this left arm are usually upset by the biceps and the triceps engaging. So what I mean by that is you'll see all sorts of things in the left arm where these muscles are working, and this will put your target arm or left arm out of whack. Now, when we operate the extensor action through the right arm, then all we have is the biceps moving the arm inside, and the tricep keeping the right arm as long as it can be. So the key to extensor action is that it's a tricep action of the right arm to keep the lever long without you using biceps or triceps to keep it long. So in other words, what happens is that this arm is just going to hang naturally, and then we're going to use the extensor action to pull it down. So in other words, we're not pushing this down, this is being taken down by the extensor action, by the triceps acting to keep this arm as long as possible. So I've got the extensor strap here. So in terms of the right hand, then we link this to the third pressure point, and then basically it's how this arm pulls in and goes up to keep this absolutely taut. But this, obviously, this strap is in actual fact our left arm. So the biceps pulling it in and the triceps pushing it down or trying to keep long. So what this does is it gives a real construction to our triangle. So when we apply it, so we can actually apply this to the shaft as well. So if I come down, so I'm going into impact fix, tying it up at impact fix. Okay, and then I've got it going up the shaft here. So as I put it up, you'll see that as that's moving it, we're not getting any changes of angles here. This is all in line. And then of course, as we come into delivery now, then as we move, as the weight transfers, as this continues to pull and release, we get to the point where both arms go straight. So it's the release from here of both arms straight, and now you can see we've got a little bit, it's like the illusion that we talk about here, that we're actually getting to the point where this is still trying to straighten, then we're going to get to that place of illusion that we're after. So I think the key point here also is how we have this pressure going out and down. So it's going out, and then when it comes back it's going down. And that is probably through your number 2 pressure point, which is that right heel down on that thumb. So this arm is just hanging down naturally. So just a tiny little thing there is that we put the arm down here, then turn it from here, and that's how that arm naturally hangs. And then from that position we put it on the club, and then we push down, so we're trying to extend through. Now this can still be have a crease in it, but nevertheless that's pulling down. And then as that continues to push down and stretch that, we'll get this brilliant structure here out of that. And then obviously we can turn further from there if we want, but we've still got that structure. And then as this now comes back in front of the right hip, we're still keeping that structure, and then the right arm goes straight. So we could conduct the whole golf swing just from this action. And obviously that still has to work on plane. So there are some plane requirements to that particular movement that need to be accepted. So within the golf swing, what happens is that as this right arm continues, so that the bicep acts to pull it inside, the tricep acts to keep the length, then as this left arm comes across the chest, that's when it attaches to the chest, and as you continues to pull, it pulls it through to the turn. Then coming through here, it's just trying to straighten, and you'll also see some action of the right shoulder here as well. So first of all, we've got to get this back down on plane. So now the elbow's in the correct position. Okay, so now we can either go pitch elbow or punch elbow, but from here on in, this is trying to straighten, and that arm gets longer. So from this elbow position, this thrusts almost to this position here, to the arm fully straight, which will of course keep the left arm fully straight, and then after that, that can start to bend. So as you pretty much know, you haven't ever heard this taught, and I certainly think that it comes into effect when you start teaching more golfing machine, but I think it's a huge example of the lack of knowledge that most golf coaches have about how the anatomy works correctly. And we're there's some guys out there that have done some really interesting stuff on getting these arms to go together. Well, as soon as that happens, you've lost the lever. This lever can't work effectively anymore because the biceps and triceps are working here. So the whole anatomical thing is thrown out of kilter. This is why I've become so dependent upon Joe and Dr. Matt, because they're the only ones that truly know, because I don't know this stuff. I've got no anatomical knowledge. I'm depending upon them. But because they're so thorough in their work, I trust them. And again, the pointed thing is, that we can ask them the questions. So within the golfing machine, go to 2NO, 6B01 and 7.3. Do you want to get that down again? So 2NO, 6B01 and 7.3. They're the chapters that you're going to go in to find a little bit more, but still go to the golfing machine website and look for the Extensor strap, and Joe's got a nice little video on there, and he obviously explains it probably better than me. He doesn't mention about the pressure point and keeping it long, because he's just selling the strap, and he doesn't talk about how it keeps it through there, again because he's just selling the strap. So I think that's about it on that subject. So I'll move swiftly on to marginal gains. So marginal gains is the work mostly written up by our UK and Ireland cycle coach, who I don't know whether he coined the phrase or whether it came from business in the first place, but it's this idea of doing little things that eventually make a difference. You know, if you look at golfing statistics and playing statistics on the tour, then you know there's a lot of 25.1 and 32.8, and so you know they're measuring in quite small detail. So I had a quick look and I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll take marginal gains playing. So you know, what can we do marginal gains playing? So I think the first thing that we can get in that particular place is out of those words precise. So you know, we pretty much know that the word that we get given to us as coaches is I want to be more consistent. But how many people are actually applying themselves consistently with what they know? So how consistent they are with the setup, how consistent they are with setting the club, how consistent they are, precise and consistent they are with their ball position. So I think that that's the first place that there's some marginal gains to be had, i.e. if we pay more attention to those things, we'll bring in that fall pattern a little bit. We could say that using the same ball every time we play, that will give us a marginal gain, because we've got the fact that our statistics are going to be better because we're using the same ball. We're going to know the touch and feel better. We're going to know how it reacts off the putter, off the chipper, and off each of those different clubs by getting very familiar with that ball. We'd obviously want to keep new grips on the club. So you know, so many people are working with worn grips, and of course, as soon as anybody, if they've got any pressure points and there's a little bit of wearing away, then that's going to harm how that hand changes its manipulation through impact and separation. Simple things like, you know, having clean clubs, having the grooves cleaned out, having a warm-up plan and sticking to the same warm-up plan each and every time, even having a bag plan so that if everything's in the right place, everything's kept topped up, whether it's plasters, T-pegs, ball markers, so that you know that you've always got that, so you never have to have a moment of stress. You know, making sure that you've got the precise distances and you've got measurements that include temperature change, wind change, barometric pressure changes, sea level changes. So to all of these things, making sure that we're optimising our energy maybe by having an electric trolley and having an umbrella handle, watching the weather, having nuts and seeds and plenty of water. So there's thousands of tiny little things that we can do that on their own wouldn't make a difference, but when we put them all together, we put every single one of these marginal gains in, and they could also include having a good night's sleep, not having coffee in the morning. So you know, how many tour players get up in the morning and have a cup of coffee? It's a disaster. That caffeine shouldn't be in the body first thing in the morning. What would happen if we took that caffeine out, we put in a lemon drink? How would that change their constitution, their awareness, the ability for their brain to think clearer? So I think that we can use a lot of these marginal gains just in playing. We can look at all these tiny little areas that might make a little bit of difference over a long period of time, over the big picture. So pretty much when I go to marginal gains on practice and playing, the whole thing will go through the roof. So I might do a couple of sessions on the marginal gains. So the third thing I think is quite interesting, and that is nature. And I think this works in a couple of ways. I think first of all, it's a distraction. So in between our pre-shot routines and post-shot routines, what are we doing? Well, I think that you know, we need to be aware of, you know, the wonderful surroundings, nature that's all around us, whether it be in the weather, whether it be in the grass, whether it be in the colours, whether it be in the sounds. And I think out of this, that this should encourage us to be grateful, because being grateful for everything that we've got is not only a state that we should exist in, it's a vibrational state that will encourage other good things to come to us. So once we get used to being aware of all this wonderful stuff that's going on around us and being grateful for it, then we can start to be grateful for the little things that go right when we make a swing. You know, what did we like about that swing? What felt really good about that impact? What was great about that ball flight? And notice that and be grateful that that part of it worked. So, you know, if we hit a putt and it goes 17 inches by, but it goes 3 inches to the right, then rather than curse the 3 inches to the right, let's be really grateful and thankful and notice and feel really good that we got that distance right, and vice versa. Because what this is doing is it's setting up that vibrational state that we need for the whole round of golf, that gets us to see all the good things that are going on, all of the improvements that we're making, all of the things that we're doing really well that we need to keep doing, and also notice those things that if we just adjusted a little we could do even better. And then we can extend that even further then to our playing partners, to the people that are working around us, to those people that are playing tournaments, the people that are helping tournaments, and create this whole vibrational nature that's going on. Because again, I remember when I caddied for one tour player, and I went to this club a couple of months later, and I was speaking to one of the officials there, and we were talking about the people that were there, and you know, he said, well, there was only one miserable guy that I came across, and I knew exactly who he meant straight away. It was the guy that I'd caddied for. And you know, you think, well, if you're sending out those vibrations, then you know, pretty much guarantee that you're going to take those vibrations, you know, onto the course with you, into your behaviour, and it's going to take you down the wrong direction. So for me, nature is the start of this idea of being grateful, and then seeing how we can spread that gratefulness and really get that high vibrational state that we need to be working in when we're on the golf course. It's really, really, really key. High vibrational state throughout the whole of that game of golf. You're going to need it.